Alright, welcome back to another Zon video. This one's the Ice Amazon. Let's jump into a map. Very similar to the multi-shot Amazon. The Ice Amazon is you know, it's uh it's gonna be shooting arrows, alright? Lots of arrows. So there's a couple spells. So if you're gonna go full ice, you go all the way down to freezing arrow. There is a way to go just cold arrow and fire arrow, and then you can alternate between the two and be kind of like a hybrid guy, but it's really not that good. I've tried it out. Uh, the main problem is that cold arrow and fire arrow don't shotgun, so that's kind of lame. Is what it is. So this is like a freezing arrow build. So freezing arrow has two synergies, these guys, and cold arrow has two synergies, which is this one and magic arrow. So I maxed Magic Arrow just because I wanted to try to go cold. But if you're just going Freezing Arrow, you don't have to max Magic Arrow. You don't have to worry about it. However, it is nice to max it because if you come across cold immunes, your only way to deal with them is magic damage or physical damage. So the rest is 1 point in this stuff, as you normally do. You can see our crit strike's kind of low. Projectile pierce is good. So what I would do here is I'm just gonna bump up our crit till it's like pretty good, and maybe get the pierce a little higher. Yeah, there you go. So that's what you do with the rest of your points. Um, but basically max these four, one into everything here, and then kind of round out your stats. So again, we want to be at the 99 increased attack speed breakpoint, so we're right at 100 here with this current build, because we're going to definitely have the beast on our merc every time. Same as before, we want Might Aura and we want Beast. Call to Arms, very important for this build because the one to all skills really gives us a big benefit. Think we can get two? No, just the one. Okay, no problem. Oh, one thing we should do is we should definitely get rid of these. Let me go ahead and grab. Where are they? Amazon. First in the list, bow and crossbow. So we want 9. Yeah, look at that. Alright, so now we're doing proper damage. Torch Annie, bow and crossbow skillers across the board cannot be frozen here, which we don't really need because we have it here, but whatever. Some all resist stuff. We're capped on resistances. That's good. We're at the attack speed breakpoint. That's good. We got pretty much perfect pierce, lots of crit, some deadly strike. There's no crushing blow in this version of the build. If you really wanted to, you could throw on Go Riders, but I don't think it's really necessary because this is a magic damage kind of build. So, yeah, let's take a look at what we're doing here. So we got the ice arrows, which are doing 8 to 10k, which are nice. We have our freezing arrow, which is one arrow, and when it breaks, it does like a big AOE of frost damage in a big AOE, and that'll happen every time it pierces. So that's what makes it so good, and it also freezes them solid. So you can see like they literally get stuck. So even though it's one arrow, it's doing that AOE pulse thing, so that's cool. And then you got this arrow. This is the big arrow. So it's doing 20 to 25k. So for single target, enemies, bosses, we're using this for sure. This one's doing 5k on top of our regular physical damage in the AOE, and the volley arrows are doing 10k. So it's actually quite a bit of damage here. If you take a look at our magic arrow is also doing decent amount of extra damage, so not terrible. We're definitely going to want more mana leech if we can. We have got no life leech at the moment. We'll talk about why that is in a sec. There's basically two ways to run this build. One way is with all the stuff you're used to seeing in the previous builds here, and That is with the Ice rune word. So Ice rune word, really great. It's going to give us cold skill damage. It's going to give us some deadly strike. You know, it's got lots of holy freeze synergies here. We're doing a lot more cold damage. We got the Novas. All this stuff's great. This time around, instead of focusing on physical damage increases, we want all skills. Andy's is perfect. It's going to get us to that 100% increased attack speed block. Also, Andy's is a source of sockets, so we want to go cold faucets. That's what I've done here in the Mavinas. So 2 to Amazon skills, great, and cold sockets, great. High Lords, double wisp, Nosferatu's coil for the attack speed. These GG gloves that were from before with the dual leech. And now we want to prioritize getting bow and crossbow skills in our quivers, because that really does increase our damage. And then war traps for a little more physical DPS. Could do Gore Riders though. And the swap we have Call to Arms and Lidless. You'll notice with this build, if we compare Freezing Arrow, it's 5.1 damage, or 5.1k. The cold arrows are 8.2 to 9.6. These arrows are 21 to 24. Everything else is kind of the same. We have a bit of Crushing Blow. We got a bunch of Life Leech now. 30% Elemental Pierce. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to just switch it out for Mavinas, which is extremely cheap in comparison. So full Mav set, you'll see that our Ice Arrow damage is higher. Our Freezing Arrow damage is higher. And our cold Arrow damage is higher. All of our damage is higher across the board. One thing we also get is we're maxed on our resistances. So if we put on this stuff, you'll notice that our fire and cold resistances are not maxed. So that's interesting. And we're also losing the life leech. So 0 life leech in this build. You would probably want to switch out 1 wisp for a Volcathos for that 5% life leech. That's what I would do. And also you can get lifesteal on arrows as well, so you can chase for that. And none of this stuff's corrupted either, so keep that in mind. Full Mavinas is really strong. It has Cannot Be Frozen. It has like cold skill damage. It has a lot of all skills. The bow itself does a lot of damage. It's got Elemental Pierce, all resist. And honestly, the big selling point here is that you can get sockets, a lot of sockets, and a lot of cold faucets. That's why the damage is so high here. So remember, any elemental build, if you can get faucets in it, you are going to do more damage than whatever the alternative is. Not in every case, but for the most part. So because Mavinas has such a good base to it, in the sense that it has all these other abilities and stats, having it able to get tons of sockets, and we're not even near the max here. We can have twice as many faucets here. Because if you're slamming sockets, it's different than puzzle boxing it. So you can get 6 on the bow, you can get 3 on the helm, and 4 on the armor. So the damage could be almost double what it is right now, compared to the rune words and other stuff. So keep that in mind. The cold build, and also I'll use the same armor for the fire build as well, because it has fire pierce. It's the same amount of pierce fire as cold. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm gonna just make sure this is still applied. Yeah, all right. So take a look at this. We have Nova proccing on hit, which is really cool. That's from Mavinas, so you have lightning damage coming out. Because everything is frost, everything's getting slowed. So you can see we're just using the regular ability, and our mana is going down quick. So that's one problem you're definitely going to have with this build, is that the mana usage is pretty substantial. So mana after each kill and mana steal is definitely going to be something you would want to consider having. Kill speed's really high. Obviously for cows there's not much immunity, so that's just this ability, the cold arrow. So let's try the freezing arrow now. So freezing arrow is the one that pierces, and you'll see that it's extremely strong. The mobs don't get to move, and every time it pierces through, it's going to reapply its AOE effect. Let's see what this ring is. Ready, guys? Ooh, dwarf star. Trash. So yeah, the freezing arrow is extremely good. Um, it's higher damage than the cold arrows, and on top of it, it literally freezes the enemy, so they can't they cannot attack you. They can't do anything. So and like I said, every time it pierces, it does that AOE effect. So it looks like it's one arrow, and it looks like it's kind of shitty, but in reality, it's super strong. So yeah, freezing arrow. The only downsides is that it's kind of a narrow um, range of effect. However, it doesn't you as quickly as the other build because it doesn't take as many casts to kill the enemies, and we have some mana after each kill going on. That's cool. Um, yeah, very very strong, especially for cows. Let's take a look at the ice arrow now. So the ice arrow does, you know, a lot of damage, 20 to 24k. However, it is one arrow, and as you can see, it just for some reason, even though my pierce is so high, it does not pierce. I don't know why. Maybe this is a bug, but it never seems to pierce. Only ever hits one target. So with that being said, I don't know if that's a bug, and I don't know what's going on there to cause that. But it's kind of annoying. And you see my mercs died, and now I don't have max attack speed, and that's going to be annoying because I am not attacking nearly as fast as I should be. So it's going to make everything a little bit worse here. But I just want to stress how important it is having Pierce for freezing arrow. Every time it goes through another mob, it's going to double the damage. So if you have a big stack and you get one good Pierce, like you're gonna pretty much one shot the pack. So, but with the Mavina setup, we don't have any life steal. We barely have any mana steal. It's kind of not as optimal as it could be. And also, I've got this thing on me. It's Griswold, dude. I'm gonna make a new map just because that one's annoying. Let's go revive our Merc. Let's get a little bit of health pots. Definitely do not sell our torch. And now I want to show you exact same build, but with the rune words and uniques and stuff, not the Movina set. You can see for yourself that it's very strong. So let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. So main difference this time is our resistances are lower, but we've got a ton of life steal. So um, we're also using. We also have Holy Freeze on all the time, and we're also getting the Frost Novas proccing instead of the regular Novas. So you can see the damage is pretty much the same. It's not like you're really going to notice a huge difference. Of course, the Frost Novas are going to scale off our increased frost damage, so that's useful. The lifesteal is going to make us live longer. We're still kind of having mana issues. That's for sure. Well, it's not the end of the world. Let's try the regular arrows out. So they're doing about 2,000 less. But now, we're getting the Frost Nova on top of it. So still very strong. I really wish that these arrows would shotgun. If that were the case, it would be really powerful. But that is not the case. Anyways, that's um, the Frost Amazon Bowzon build. Super strong. Of course, goes without saying, if anything's immune to frost, the build kind of suffers a lot. You have to use this, which is the magic arrows, which are not doing much damage at all, right? They're only doing 2,000. So if you do come across frost immunes, you are not going to have a good time. However, if you're mapping, you can do the cow map. There's a couple maps that don't have any frost immunes, and this is a great build for them for sure. Especially with Mavinas, if you don't want to put a bunch of faucets in all your gear, you can put a bunch of Magic Find instead, and it's the kind of the equivalent of the Griswold set for the Paladin, in the sense that you can really get a ton of Magic Find going and not really have a bad build either. So keep that in mind if you're trying to map and you want a Magic Find in maps, then Mavinas is a very good set to do so. And honestly, the difference between this build and the fire build is just that, I mean, I haven't done it yet, but I know already that the fire build is going to be a little higher damage, but it's not going to have the slow, so enemies are not going to be, as slowed, and you won't be using the ice rune word, you'll be using a different bow, the one that has fire skills. It's the Bariza, I think, so check that out next, but yeah, I really like the Frost Amazon, and I really like that the Mavina set is like actually useful, um, because having the class sets be useful for something unique is very good for the game. Okay, here we go. We have a um, he's he's frost immune and he's physical immune. So our only way to kill him is, you guessed it, with the magic arrows, and that didn't take too long. So this guy is immune to frost as well, looks like, and he's gone as well. So that's a great little example of, if you need to use your magic arrows because something's immune, it's really not the end of the world. And there, I'll leave it there.